what is happening.
Broadcasting live from the Zimmer Communications World Headquarters.
Great news for the American people.
This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri with Branden Rathert, featuring Stephanie Bell, News Director Brian Houseworth, John Marsh, and Hannah, the producer.
This is why we listen to you.
Get ready, pal. And now, here's your host, Branden Rathert.
Cost of living is up. We know gas prices are up. We know families are dealing with financial death by 1,000 cuts under Bidenomics, and they want to see us talk about issues.
At the same time as all 8 candidates perhaps fight each other and for second place, well behind the person who won't be on stage tonight, former President Donald Trump, who's skipping the GOP debate.
We have Tim Scott, who's planning to roll out his debate strategy by trying to introduce himself to the American people as more than just Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina, and really somebody that can lead this nation. He really plans to just introduce himself and his message to the American people.
Some of what the folks are saying on a national level is we're 14 hours away from tonight's big debate, but what are Mid-Missourians? What are they expecting? Stephanie Bell is here. She's going to share her point of view, what she's looking for as somebody who is from Mid-Missouri. And I think the biggest thing we're going to be looking for, John, who will emerge as the vice presidential candidate after this debate tonight? Because we're talking, okay, so it's got to be Trump very likely, according to all polling, for what polling is worth. But who's the guy that would, or woman, who would emerge as the vice presidential candidate? My money is on Mike Pence.
Someone asked me,
done that.
Well, and do you ever, I think this is a legitimate question. I was talking with some friends about this, and they said, do you ever think we'll get 2 old white guys on the ticket again? I don't know that. Do you think we will ever do that? I don't know that you, I mean, there's, and one of the things that's, I mean, seriously.
From which party?
Either.
Do I think the Republicans will continue with the old white guys? Yes.
No, either one. And actually, that's what they said is diversity is really going to be on the stage tonight. We've got younger people. We do have actual diversity. You've got Tim Scott. You got Vivek Ramaswamy. You got Nikki Haley. You got lots of. So it's going to be an interesting, when you watch that Republican Party stage, it is not going to look the same as it has in the past.
It's going to be different, and it'll be interesting to see what people are looking for. As a matter of fact, U.S. Senator Eric Schmitt, he's here at 8:10 this morning. Senator Schmitt, 8:10, here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. We might ask him a little bit about this, but as you heard in the open, people, it's the economy. The economy's stupid. Senator Eric Schmitt's been traveling around Missouri. I want to find out what our some of our neighbors here in the state are saying. And then, by the way, his successor, when he was, of course, former Attorney General for the state of Missouri, his successor, Andrew Bailey, he is here, 7:35. He's in a courtroom this week protecting little kids in Missouri. Want to get a preview of what's going on there. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Welcome back, Steph.
Good morning. Glad to be back.
We're glad you're here. Do you want to get your thoughts on what you think? Because Raven Harrison, RavenHarrison.com, does a lot of stuff on Fox. She's going to be here 7:10. What is it she's looking for? And she is so good, I think, at finding like just something a little different that you don't find with a lot of these. And I don't mean to be dismissive when I call her a talking head, but I don't know a better way to put it. She's here at 7:10. Let's hear what she has to say. Mr. Brian Houseworth is here.
Good to see you, and I think it is worth pointing out, too, you talked about Missouri's Attorney General. He personally has been involved in a high-profile Columbia murder case. We learned new details this week about Samuel Brotherton, and Bailey's office got involved, and we learned that the victim was shot behind a closed, locked bedroom door. So again, domestic violence. We talk about that all the time. 9 of 11 homicides last year in Columbia domestic violence. That is one of them. He's involved in that.
And the other thing he's going to be talking about, a story, and this story regarding the courtroom, what's happening in court this week regarding protecting kids. It's making national news this morning. There's Mr. John Marsh.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
What happens when you have lunch in a small town with Mr. Marsh? We should cover that at 6:35. Some really cool stuff coming out of that.
Good lunch.
Yeah.
Who picked up the bill?
Wow.
What
do you mean, wow? I always pick up the bill. Why are you guys acting surprised?
You're also the one that's always trying to bet, like, dinners and stuff.
That is producer Hannah.
Hello.
I want to ask you real quick, as somebody, and I hate to pull the age thing, Hannah, 23-year-old college grad, Mizzou, getting ready to get married.
But
I'm going to pull it anyway. Is somebody who is a young conservative, kind of like, what is it that you would be looking for in the debate tonight?
Truthfully, I don't even know. I think that without Trump there, everyone might actually have a decent chance to get, thoughts out without being interrupted. So I'm kind of excited to see maybe some of the underdogs' opinions.
I know, and so my opinion has been kind of evolving on that. Yeah, I want to see Trump and all that stuff, and I do believe it is a wise move that he's not doing that. I'll stick by that for the third day in a row, despite the fact that I think 78% of Republicans polled following the announcement on Sunday, and everybody on Fox, I am solidly in the minority on my opinion on this. But I think it will be interesting to see, okay, what do you have to say? What do you have to say, Mr. Tim Scott? What about you, Mrs. Haley? And what about you, Vivek Ramaswamy?
What about Doug Burgum?
The mayor of North Dakota. What is he going to say? And John, I got to tell you, I think I'm actually excited to hear from this guy. I really am. And I don't know
just
why.
want another gift card. We know you.
So when we talk about the economy, think about Doug Burgum is not even president yet. And I've had huge returns on my $1 investment. I invested $1 in his campaign. I got $20 back. I don't know what the math on that is. That's a huge return that I've not seen since the tragic events of January the 20th of 2021. Dude's not even president. Stephanie Bell, she is at this debate tonight. So we've heard from a younger person's point of view. And I am actually kind of excited to watch this without the bombastic somebody doing this. And hopefully there's going to be less talking over it. What am I talking about? That's not going to happen. But that's what I'm hopeful.
Probably not. Well, and, last time I watched Trump in the debates, everyone was like, oh my gosh, he's so good at debating. I'm like, no, he just interrupts everybody and talks over everyone. That's not being good at debating. That's just being a little bit of a bully.
Interesting take on Ramaswamy from James. He says he is so smooth, it kind of bothers me. That's it. It's an and I mean, there is very little that right now I dislike about Mr. Ramaswamy. So we've heard from...
He did the shirtless workout thing a la RFK Jr., didn't he?
He did. And, of course, he's catching flack for that. But, good on him. If you got a body, you want to show it off, good on you, because it sure ain't this dude.
Yeah, I would add one more thing on that debate, too. I think the key is who is the moderator. The moderator makes a big difference. Hannah's absolutely correct. President Trump did interrupt, but let's not forget in that debate, you played the clip the other day that Chris Wallace was moderating. Now President Biden also interrupted, and both of them, Trump and Biden, both of them violated the rules that both of them had agreed to. And Chris Wallace did the best he could. Now, he took heat for, but, when you've got two guys that just ignore the rules, I don't know. I thought it was poor, but I thought the moderator does the best they can. Be interesting who it is tonight.
So here's the point of views we have on this debate tonight. We've got 23-year-old Hannah. We've got a U.S. Senator and Eric Schmitt. We'll ask him what it is he's looking for. We've got somebody on a national political level, Raven Harris, and she's here at 710 to offer her point of view. And then the point of view I don't think that you can get anywhere else in mid-Missouri. I would venture to say you're not getting this in St. Louis. You're not getting it in Springfield, Kansas City. You're not getting it anywhere except here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri here in Mid-Missouri. Stephanie Bell is there tonight. Reports bright and early tomorrow morning.
Maybe.
Maybe. So
it's kind of late.
So bright.
It's late
so
tonight.
Let me ask you, so what is it like you're looking for? I'm excited about a debate to listen to what these people have to say. I don't know how much separation there's going to be between any of them. That's what I'm excited about. What about you?
I'm looking for people's excitement level. Like, if you recall, like in 2016, people were really, Trump could get people riled up, and there was this excitement level that I haven't seen any candidate really bring. The person that got closest, I would say, when I was at CPEC was Vivek Ramaswamy. He kind of had a little gaggle. People wanted to get near him. They wanted a selfie. They were excited. Now, there was a lot of young people, which was kind of his target audience. Now, the RNC controls who comes in and out tonight at the debate, but also there's just going to be a lot of people in Milwaukee. Will there be any protesters show up? I wonder, with Trump not showing up, will Trump supporters show up and somehow make their presence known out at or outside the debate? I think that is really interesting. And then during the debate, I think I'm going to be watching for, obviously, who's everyone attacking? Who do the other candidates think is the front runner such that they need to be talked bad about? But I think the thing that I was missing, because the last time you really saw all the candidates kind of together was at that Tucker Carlson, Iowa thing. It was the Family Leadership Summit. And there, what I really thought was missing was a really in-depth discussion about economic issues. Now, again, they were playing to their audience. Family Leadership Summit, they were talking a lot about foreign policy and a lot about issues like abortion. But totally, I think, absent from that conversation was anything about how folks really plan to deal with the economy and bring it back. And so I'm really hoping that what issue, so I'm hoping it's economics, but I will be watching for what issue kind of emerges as the most talked about.
Climate change.
Yeah, it's climate change's fault. The other thing that kind of excites me about this, and I've been riding this horse for several years, I keep talking about the Republican Party. If they want some success, they got to do some forward thinking, and part of that forward thinking is getting these younger people like producer Hannah, and that's what I love about Vivek Ramaswamy being in this. Maybe he doesn't get the nomination, whatever it is, but hopefully there's younger people that are tuning in tonight to watch that, and they'll see some of these other candidates. And maybe there's some other kids, they haven't figured out their political identity yet, but they're excited about this Ramaswamy, and they'll watch and they'll start maybe get an understanding of here's why things are bad since January 20th of 2021.
And I think for a lot of Missourians and, me being at the debate, I think the draw from Trump was it really did feel like he was talking to us. He was anti-establishment, but he said, I'm not the swamp. I'm your people. I, was a business owner. I understand what you're going through. And I don't know that anyone currently on the stage is going to be able to have that conversation to those of us in mid-Missouri. Who's talking to me? That's what I'm going to want to see.
Marsh, what about you? What's the one big thing that you'd be looking for tonight?
Well, me, the gloom and doom thing. I just keep focusing on the what ifs. If Donald Trump is convicted and can't be the nominee, that we better pay a whole lot more attention to these other folks that are presumably in the primary.
Well, and is anyone also secretly hoping that someone just completely falls on their face and gets the axe after one night? Because it is a make or break night if you have one really bad moment, it can really do you in, I think.
That's right, because it gets played the next day. We'll be talking about it the next day. That's what's going to happen. Kellyanne Conway, former senior advisor in the Trump administration, she brought up 6 points, six things to watch for. Number 4 on the list, it surprised me. We're going to share that coming up at 6:35 here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. And incidentally, if you want to see Trump tonight, this is interesting. We highlighted the New York Times lied in a headline the other day. Says Trump plans to skip GOP debate for interview with Tucker Carlson. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, Wake Up Mid-Missouri, you can see there that it's highlighted. They are lying. He did not skip the GOP debate to do an interview with Tucker Carlson. He is doing an interview with Tucker Carlson. Incidentally, it was taped. It's already been taped, and I think there are some things there that could have been done better. What is it you're looking for? 874-9390. Coming up a few minutes from now, we're going to be doing the daily DC rundown with. I'm thinking it's already 8:25. We're coming up on 6:25.
Come on, man.
What do you have, Steph?
plea to a superseding indictment accusing him of fraud and conspiracy, and a complaint from his lawyers about his treatment behind bars.
So what's he complaining about behind bars? We're going to find out here in the Daily D.C. Rundown with Stephanie Bell.
Not about that millions and millions of dollars he gave to folks in D.C. that apparently isn't even part of this trial anymore, but his $250 million bail was revoked 10 days ago. He was trying to influence witnesses. And so the judge said, you're going to jail. And now he's mad because he doesn't like what they're calling a flesh diet, which he's a vegan. So I think that's just a diet with meat in it. And he's like, now I can only eat bread, water, and sometimes peanut butter, which according to my kids, because you can't have peanut butter in schools anymore either because of allergies, and they say they get something called wow butter, which I think is vegan, and they're like, Mom, it is definitely not wow. So I have heard the same complaint, but it's a reminder that this is just a kid. I mean, this guy is a kid, and he's complaining. He's like, I had to go to jail, and now I don't like the food. Yeah, well, quit intimidating witnesses. You're going to have to take some accountability for your actions. I hope they get this guy.
Wow butter?
Yeah, it's called wow butter.
I'd love to read the list of ingredients in this, Marsh.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, yeah, it's not peanut butter, according to my children. All right, so Missouri in the national news this morning, we are the court battle over the governor, the new law about gender, or well, we're not going to call it gender affirming healthcare. That's what the AP calls it, but that bans doctors and others from performing these life-altering surgeries on young folks. That is headed to court. And of course, all the states are watching. Our attorney general, both previous attorney general and current attorney general, have had a lot of success in these court battles, and other states are thinking, do we want to pass a similar law? Let's keep an eye on this court case.
And I think it's interesting, John, because we happen to have the current attorney general who's making national headlines this morning, Mr. Bailey, who is arguing, talking about this case in court this week. Andrew Bailey, current AG for Missouri. He's here at 7:35. Then the guy who preceded him, U.S. Senator Eric Schmitt, is here at 8:10 this morning.
President Biden will be tuning into the debate tonight from vacation in Lake Tahoe. He is just chilling while everyone else is duking it out on the stage. We've got 8 candidates on stage. Another thing that I'm going to be looking, I think the pledge that said, hey, you've got to support the ultimate candidate. We want you to sign this pledge. I think they're calling it the Beat Biden Pledge. But that's another thing I think I'm going to be looking for tonight. Who's showing that they can show up and win against Biden? Who is running for the general? Not just to be our candidate, but who is hitting back, not against the other candidates on the stage, but who is really hitting back against Biden such that I think they could win the general. I think that's going to be important.
Yeah, of course, Stephanie Bell, she'll have analysis tomorrow morning here on the show. She will be at the debate tonight.
We've also got more news. What was this tan mom lady y'all were talking about? I missed this.
Trisha Krenzel. She was a woman 10 years ago. She went viral. She was charged with child abuse because she apparently was taking her 5-year-old kid to a tanning salon. It was eventually all dismissed, but she was, I've seen really, really tan people. She was, wow, incredible. And since
she makes the Marlboro Man look like, I don't know, polar bear or something.
And she's done weird things over the years. She's cashed. And here's the thing. When you cash in on your 15 minutes of fame, you got to do it when you're in that 15 minutes of fame. She's tried to cash in for 10 years. It's not been working, but now she's trying to cash it again.
So she's running against, I think, Rick Scott in Florida, and she's kind of, in my mind, is she like the Tiger King, basically? Like at that level of fame where she got a little bit of...
But not even quite that.
Oh, yikes.
But
okay.
Just as bizarre, maybe.
Well, apparently Democrats feel emboldened because the former
He has 4 songs in the top 10. He has the top 3 spots. That's really cool. We've all heard this song now. Have you heard some of his other pieces that are number 2 and 3? I'm going to play those here for you in just a minute. Guess where Stephanie Bell has been for the past 2 days?
Richmond.
Right smack dab in the middle of it, man.
Mm-hmm.
How's the capital city there?
It's good. Yeah, I had never been there before, so I got to walk by the Supreme Court and the Capitol. They're actually doing a lot of reconstruction. Their Capitol looks like ours did a couple of years ago, where it's just all fenced and everything.
When we had the giant condom on top of the Capitol Dome for several months.
It was a grain silo.
It was a grain silo, sorry.
Yeah, so they're doing some
having
sort
safe legislation.
Yes.
There's John Marsh. Good morning.
Good morning.
Producer Hannah.
Hello.
My name is Branden Rathert. What are you hoping for in the debate tonight? 874-9390. We'll take your text. Quick point I want to make before we get on to the next thing here. Sean says, sometimes we need to step back and acknowledge how broken and corrupted our country is. If we even have to discuss how someone could beat Biden in the general election, that should tell you everything you need to know about the state of things. And I get it. Before we get into some of this other Oliver Anthony music, and it's people are latching on because it's like, yeah, man, that's how we feel, and it's incredibly powerful what he's done. He's the first artist in the history of recorded music to have a number 1 song downloaded, to be number 1 without having any other previous songs charting in the downloads. And this was, of course, on the heels of the Jason Aldean "Try That in a Small Town" song, which got folks upset. CMT, Country Music Television, they yanked the video. Steve Spellman, who'd been hanging out with us for a couple of days here on the show, wrote an article in the Missourian, basically "Try That in a Small Town." And he went to like Versailles and Mexico, Missouri, and Centralia, and just had some interesting takes on things. John and I, we had lunch in a small town yesterday. We were in Ashland Pizza House. We had a really interesting conversation.
Can we back up here? Because you guys have lunch a lot, and you decide to have lunch in Ashland when I'm out of town?
Are you that surprised, Stephanie?
So you you don't even have to try to ask me to go. I'm offended.
Stephanie,
Well, if you'd been in on the discussion with the business owner, maybe you not being there might have been a good thing.
All right. Well, yeah, tell me what happened.
So let's do this.
Really?
You should. John and I will be having lunch there tomorrow. You want to join us tomorrow?
I'm having a busy week.
Stephanie, did you see what happened on Monday when you and I were both out?
I heard there was some discussion about a certain restaurant as well.
Yeah, within the first 2 minutes of the show on Monday.
Lovely.
And I want to quote Shaggy. Shaggy's, "It wasn't me."
Yes, it was.
It wasn't me.
It was too.
Anyway, so we went and had lunch in this
Cartoon Shaggy or rapper Shaggy?
the rapper Shaggy.
Ruh-roh.
So we were chatting with this and if you're a smaller business owner here in mid-Missouri, would love to hear, via text, 874-9390. You could even call in. John, what struck you most about this, about the conversation with the guy who owns the Pizza House in Ashland?
Well, we spent so much time with Brad Jones from Missouri chapter of the National Federation of Independent Business, and we get all the numbers and the woes with small business people kind of anecdotally. When we talked to Matt at Pizza House yesterday, we kind of got a real feel for how tough it is to be a small business person, especially in a little town.
And I thought it was interesting. Now, he talked about on a national level, specifically talked about the federal government, and we hear it in Missouri, too, support small local businesses and small local business owners, things like that. And he says if the feds are saying that, then why don't they help us more? And he's not asking for taxpayer money. Don't be mistaken. That's not what it was about. But it was just, man, the guy was just incredibly passionate. You could sense his frustration and the frustration of trying to have a regular base of employees, and that is the one universal thing. I don't care if we're talking to small businesses, no matter what part of mid-Missouri we're in, people are saying, man, it's trying to keep a good employee. That is a challenge for us. So if you're a small business owner and you're experiencing challenges with that, I just wanted you to know, you're not alone. And the passion of this guy yesterday in Ashland, and he's talked about things, though, you have a business on a national level, they can buy ingredients, at X amount of dollars, but where I cannot buy in bulk like they do, that's the challenge. That's the reality of what I face, and the frustration in this guy's face. I'm just like, man, it made my heart break.
Well, he's talking about the national, change moving into smaller communities just like Ashland, and they are.
Yeah. So sensed his frustration. If you're a small business owner too, man, we get it. It hurts. Tomorrow, Stephanie Bell, she's going to be reporting from the debate. She is going to be there this morning. U.S. Senator Eric Schmitt, 810. He is going to be here. We'll ask him about this. The other thing that he's been doing, he's kind of doing what John and I have been doing. He's been going to places and having lunch, and he's been talking to Missourians. I want to see what folks in other part of the state are saying. Eric Schmitt joins us 8:10 this morning. Perspective from Raven Harrison at 7:10. And Kellyanne Conway, she was a senior advisor in the Trump administration. As we get ready for the debate tonight, it's going to be airing at 8 o'clock. By the way, the one big thing that I do every time I watch a debate, when I watch it on the TV, and you're only going to be able to watch it on Fox and some of their digital platforms.
Fall asleep.
Pop popcorn?
I turn the TV off, man, as soon as it's over. Or I do the opposite extreme. I have a channel on my cable network where I can watch like 6 different news channels all at once. I can scroll through and go back and forth and see what they say. I won't do that for this tonight, but I always encourage folks, turn off the TV after the debate. Don't let the talking heads tell you what you're supposed to think. Figure it out for yourself. Let us here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri tell you what you're supposed to think. So we are looking forward to that, of course. And we've got so interesting points of view on that. 23-year-old Hannah, Mid-Missourian, Stephanie Bell, a U.S. Senator with some perspective, and then somebody on a national level, Raven Harrison, 7:10. So we've all heard the Oliver Anthony song, Rich Men North of Richmond. He's got 3 songs that are in the top 3 right now. And so we've all heard that song, but the other songs that he has, by the way, he's making $40,000 a day. And Hannah, he turned down a bunch of, like somebody said, hey, we want to sign you. Here's a check. He looked at the check. He saw the numbers and he said, no, thanks. What were the numbers on that check?
I believe it was $8 million that he turned down.
Yeah. And he said no. And I love that because to me, it's the principle of the thing. People razz me for it because I spend an hour for the past 2 years doing my gas tax receipt, so I get my money back. This year it was $39, but it is the principle of the thing. I've never lost $8 million, Dan. Listen,
Don't you think he's just holding out for more?
Or there could be that.
Man, I hope so.
But right now he's making about $40,000 a day, basically kind of doing it on his own.
And he lives in a camper, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you see the guy, if you've seen him playing, I mean, he's got red hair and just a beard. I mean, he's just like a dude that you might see on a construction job site or something.
Like he lives in a camper or like one of those campers that has like 5 big screen TVs?
That is a great question.
Yeah. He may well have upgraded.
Some of those campers cost more than my house. I'm sure of it.
Like a 1978 Winnebago parked out behind a shed that nobody uses anymore because even the shed is dilapidated. The only thing older than the old dilapidated shed is the old dilapidated trailer.
And Joe Biden.
I think, well, and this kind of brings home a couple things we've been talking about. And I think with him, I mean, ultimately, if your product is good, if you are good, if you work hard, I mean, when you go back to the core principles of our country, if you're talented, I mean, some of this is natural talent, but also that guy's worked hard. He's a talented songwriter. That just doesn't come out. It seems like it came out of nowhere, but this guy's probably been writing music for a long time. If your product is good, I think we live in a country where you can and you should be rewarded. And I would say the same thing about our small business owners like Pizza Hut. They have great pizza. And so if you sell a good product, we should do everything in our power as the government and as citizens to reward people who have worked hard and who have something that's really great. And I think whether you're talking about music or food or whatever, make sure if you're in business that your product's good, and hopefully, and I think you will and should be rewarded.
And to the point of hard work, good friend everybody knows here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri, Chris Arps, chrisarps.com. He's here in Missouri. We talk local, we talk Missouri politics all the time. He has worked incredibly hard over the past several years. He got himself here on this show on a regular basis. Now he's on Newsmax at least twice a week, if not 4 times a week. He's writing articles that are being picked up by redstate.com, which is a great publication in conservative circles. And he's written a piece that has been picked up by the Washington Times, and it has to do with China's economy and what it means on a worldwide scale. So it's people like Arps who work hard, and look what happens.
Yeah, and he's also writing comments on the Wake Up Facebook page.
Saw that.
On the live video feed. Have you seen this, Rathert?
I haven't.
So Chris commented, he said, "Hey, Rathert, have you lost some weight? Looks good on you."
Thank you. guy after my own heart. So here's another song from Oliver Anthony. We've all heard the Rich Men North of Richland. Here's another one of his songs. What did I say?
Have you gotten the title right yet? I think you say something different every time.
But I'm like Joe Biden. When I mess up, I do it consistently. I don't know if that's bluegrass, folk music. I don't know what you call it. I don't listen to bluegrass and folk music. I got to tell you, I'm digging this stuff from Oliver Anthony. You should check it out. Coming up a few minutes from now, another impact of the economy. We keep talking about the economy's bad, but here are some real-life circumstances.
NASDAQ up 8, S&P 500 down 12.
We'll look at your futures coming up 8:25 this morning. The Morning Bell Business News with a little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you. Welcome to the show. It's Wake Up Mid-Missouri. U.S. Senator Eric Schmitt, 810, is here on the show. Might ask, but listen, and here's the thing. We get people like Eric Schmitt on and Governor Mike Parson, people like that. They're also, not only are they politicians, but they live here in the state. They vote, too. They pay attention as somebody who votes, and Eric is thinking about his family. He's thinking about his wife. They vote, too. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what it is that they are going to be looking for. The other thing Schmitt has been doing, he's been traveling across the state, and he's been chatting with Missourians. And this is the thing we were highlighting yesterday, some man-on-the-street stuff, if you will, what people are talking about. They're talking about the economy. Here's another big impact. Here's what's happening. Homelessness up 11% nationwide, and is pretty universal across any political spectrum. They're saying, well, it's the economy. Okay, so why is the economy bad? It's a rhetorical question. We know why the economy is the way it is, and it's not just about the economy. It's the stressors that it creates for people. For example, like me, like, okay, I'm kind of cruising along, and then all of a sudden, January the 20th of 2021, and then does this happen to you? You start to get in your head a little bit about your retirement, and I know retirement, stock market, long-term thing, but as a human, sometimes I still get caught up kind of in that, man, am I going to be okay? And that's the thing that bothers me, that I get in my head, and that causes a little stress and things like that because of what's happening. It's incredibly frustrating.
Boone County Joint, a quick traffic update for you. Boone County Joint Communications says traffic is currently tied up northbound Highway 63 and Prathersville Road. There was a motor vehicle collision near there. They're telling us traffic is tied up, so please avoid the area. Again, that's northbound Highway 63 and Prathersville Road.
All right, so be careful throughout there. Kellyanne Conway, she was, a big-time advisor in the Trump administration, and she's on Fox last night. Basically, she says at the Republican debate, here's 6 things that she's looking for. And again, I just think this is more interesting perspective, and it'd be interesting to hear from you this morning. If you got a minute to hit us up via text, 874-9390. We'd be curious to know, what it is that you're looking for. And I kind of side with Hannah. I like the idea. It is going to be nice to watch a debate, as boring as it might be. It'll be nice to watch and hear and listen to these folks. Fingers crossed that there's none. Christie, I think, has the potential to be the most bombastic one because he's auditioning for more jobs on cable television.
Oh, yeah. And I think about it. So I love a good debate game. So what would be on your debate bingo card if you were making a bingo card for tonight? And then also, what word do you think will be repeated most?
Can we make a drinking game?
Yeah, I mean,
out of it.
But so I think if you were making a bingo card for tonight, playing a game with your friends, what are the things you think you'll see, or I don't know. I think that's always a good time. And then what words?
How many times will Chris Christie call the former president a coward?
Yeah. Will there be a reference to the President Trump has small hands? What set him off in the past? I mean, it'll be interesting to see what comes up. How many times people interrupt, and they always do the analysis afterwards. Who got the most words in or time? I don't really think that matters. I think you can have a lot of words and not really say a whole lot, and have a bad night still. So we'll be paying attention, but.
I mean, just look at us. We're on the air for 3 hours every day, and it's not all gold.
By the way, Gary Nolan Show, he's here every morning at 9 o'clock. Who's hosting the Gary Nolan Show today?
B. Rathert.
Mm-hmm. That'll be fun.
Pulling double duty.
And I was going to say this prior to being on the Gary Nolan Show today, but these politicians, a lot of times, they're fast talkers and they're talking to slow thinkers, man. Fast talkers and slow thinkers. That could be a dangerous combination. But coming up 7:10, Raven Harrison is going to be here. The media and the Fox impact, I think, might be an interesting question for her.
I mean, Fox is hosting the debate tonight, and I still feel like they're kind of in hot water, and they're kind of muddling through after losing Tucker. Their ratings have been down, and they're still trying to get their footing in this new and they've kind of separated from Trump. They're not following Trump around the campaign trail. And so I feel like this is a big night for Fox. Where are they going? How does this go? Especially with this competing Tucker interview, I think it's going to be interesting to see the numbers of how many people are watching versus how many people are on this Tucker thing. And I think it's a big night for obviously the folks on the stage, but I think it's a big night for Fox News too.
And that'll be interesting since Tucker was separated from.
If that's what you want to call it. We're not really quite sure.
What would you call it? He's been. We have separated your. We have ended the relationship with the company.
They did not pick up his option.
There you go. That's a nice way of saying you've been fired. We're not picking up your option. We're dismissing you from the company. He is doing really well on Twitter. And unfortunately, the way this interview is being handled, I'm like, why don't you just do it live on Twitter? Trump's already done the interview with Tucker. Why don't you do it live? And I think I know why. We'll cover that. Raven Harrison is here.
Broadcasting live from the Zimmer Communications World Headquarters.
Great news for the American people.
This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri with Branden Rathert, featuring Stephanie Bell, news director Brian Houseworth, John Marsh, and Hannah, the producer.
This is why we listen to you.
Get ready, pal. And now, here's your host, Branden Rathert.
Cost of living is up. We know gas prices are up. We know families are dealing with financial death by 1,000 cuts under Bidenomics, and they want to see us talk about issues.
At the same time as all 8 candidates perhaps fight each other and for second place, well behind the person who won't be on stage tonight, former President Donald Trump, who's skipping the GOP debate.
Of Tim Scott, who's planning to roll out his debate strategy by trying to introduce himself to the American people as more than just Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina, and really somebody that can lead this nation. He really plans to just introduce himself and his message to the American people.
It's 13 hours from now, 8 o'clock. This is going to be airing tonight on Fox digital platforms. What is it you're looking for? 874-9390. Derek says, I'm going to be watching to see who understands that we are in a life or death fight with communists. If we lose, we're going to wake up in Venezuela one morning. That's what he's watching for. Producer Hannah, 23-year-old conservative college grad. Big thing you're looking for tonight?
Economy solutions, and I'm watching the underdogs.
Marsh, what about you?
Yeah, kind of watching to see who might be there when the smoke clears.
Steph Bell, who is there tonight, live reports tomorrow morning following her visit there. What are you looking for?
I want to see someone fall on their face and get knocked out. No, I do want to see who the other candidates consider to be the front runner, who everyone is attacking besides Trump.
The thing I am looking for, how does Vivek Ramaswamy, he is smooth, he's polished, but how does he do when he's in a debate format? You know, can he keep his cool then? Can he be as smooth and as polished now if he's not reading his stuff? Coming up at 8:10, be here at 8:10 this morning, U.S. Senator Eric Schmitt, he's going to give us his take on what he might be expecting.
I mean, it's the difference. I liken it to, you can stand and shoot around all day, play a game of pig in basketball, right? And you're like, I am making every shot. And then the minute you go in the game and someone's in your face, a lot of people cannot handle game time play, and tonight is officially game time.
Want to bring in Raven Harrison, political strategist, national level. What's the big thing you're looking for tonight, Raven?
I'm going to be actually keeping a log of how many times each one of these candidates mentions Trump. So I'm going to be keeping track of how much airtime they get. Can these candidates actually distinguish themselves? Because the strategies of comparing themselves to Trump, attacking Trump, have been catastrophic. So can any of them stand out and make a platform for themselves and provide a winning argument to the American people that does not involve some manner of Trumpism? That's what I would be looking for. Is we know what Trump is. Yeah. We don't want Trump light. We don't want Trump, watered down. We want Trump ultra. So if they're going to make this play and vie for second place, which really is just heir apparent, they're vying for, then they're going to have to do better.
We want all the carbs in Donald Trump. We want Donald Trump ultra. We want all the carbs right now as we're chatting this morning about this debate coming up tonight. Vivek Ramaswamy, obviously a lot of buzz, younger audience. We might talk about that for a minute too. These younger folks. And here's what he's been doing to get prepared. He's been doing burpees at the gym. Good on him. And Stephanie brought up this point earlier, Raven. I've been on this for a long time. Got a lot of friends in local pachyderm clubs, and I go to these things, and a lot of times, Raven, I'm a 52-year-old dude. A lot of times I'm the youngest guy in the room, and I've been chatting with my conservative friends like, we need to be thinking about future conservatives, things like that. I think I think Stephanie agrees, the idea that Vivek Ramaswamy could draw a whole bunch of young people to even watch the debate tonight. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a good point. If you look at Ramaswamy's history, I mean, he's been compared a lot to Andrew Yang on the Democrat side. The difference is Andrew Yang has never been able to climb up to the level that Vivek has. I mean, he's actually now just pushed ahead of DeSantis in terms of the polling. So he's proven that he has the appeal. The problem is he doesn't really have, any battle scars in terms of, he's a very polished candidate, but people are looking for a little scruff of what does he have in terms of actual experience, in these kind of clutch situations, as Hannah puts it. But that's what I think you're going to be looking at is he should present well. We've not seen it. It was a great analogy of what do you do when somebody's actually defending you and has their hands in your face and, you know, they're waving in front of the basket. And that's what we need to see right now because that's where America is. We are in a spiraling free fall, but how we fix this going forward, his appeal is going to be, and his effectiveness is going to be dependent on how we clean house. You know, at the other levels of government, it's not just the presidency. We have got to get all the swamp creatures out of the swamp.
I think it is going to be a make or break night for some of those folks on the stage tonight, but I also think it could be a make or break night for Fox and their future in media. They lost Tucker. Tucker's doing this other thing with Trump. You do a lot of media and you watch a lot, consume a lot of media. How are you going to analyze Fox and the conservative media landscape going forward after tonight's debate?
Well, as I already have, we're seeing they're going the way of Bud Light, which is, you know, let's just prove that we can woke ourselves into profitability. You know, Tucker, he was let go. And then now, same thing with Trump. They've had a very contentious relationship with Fox and President Trump. And he is basically showing he's taken the reins back on his celebrity and his power. The Republican Party has been doing this to him since he came down the golden escalators. They were horrible to him the first campaign, and this time he's making a power play, which he does better than anybody I've ever seen. It's checkmate. So I think you're going to see that this is going to throttle Fox News. You're going to have everybody who wants to see Trump is going to go to the Trump side, and this is going to be the other ones who are going to inadvertently fall into the trap of mentioning Trump all the time. Let's see if they can resist the bait.
All right, our guest, Raven Harrison, RavenHarrison.com, political strategist. You see her on a national level, doing a bunch of stuff with Fox all across the nation. I wish, far be it from me, by the way, to offer advice to Donald J. Trump and Elon Musk, but if you're doing the Tucker thing, they recorded this yesterday. It's already done. It's in the can. If you would have done a live event on Twitter following the debate, turn the debate off, and then let Trump go with Tucker, I think that would have been real impactful, but Elon Musk, Donald Trump doesn't pay attention to me. What about second place, vice presidential aspirations? Tim says my eyes are on Vivek. Andy via text, same thing. Vivek will mop the floor tonight. Like, who emerges as the second place finisher or a potential vice presidential candidate for Trump?
I think in this field you're going to find slim pickings. It would not surprise me just on how this has gone. Most of them attacking, you know, Trump at some point in their campaign. I would think of the field that currently exists. I think that Tim Scott looks the strongest for that position. Vivek would be a second, but we don't know how he performs under the pressure. But it would not surprise me in the least for Donald Trump to pick somebody nobody was expecting.
Doug Burgum.
And, I would somebody who has the ability to pull in, a certain amount of support for it. And no, it's not me. I'm just telling you, it's got to be, it's got to be a shock, position. And that's how Donald Trump loves to operate. He loves to come in where nobody saw it coming.
Well, and I think the other reason they wouldn't do a Twitter live event, I think the last time they did that in the political realm on a big thing, DeSantis, that live event did not go so well for Twitter.
It was a disaster.
It was a disaster, yeah. And maybe they're saying we're not taking any chances on this tonight. Raven Harrison, RavenHarrison.com. Anything else you want to add to this? I'm loving, and this is impactful stuff, by the way, because we're watching. This is not just about, and sometimes I'm guilty of it too because of, Trump and Biden and the debates on the GOP side over the years. I get too much into the entertainment factor, but there's important stuff that's going to be covered tonight. You talk about your economy and some of these bizarre social things that people are trying to force on you. As a matter of fact, our Attorney General, Andrew Bailey, he's joining us on the show 7:35 this morning. Story making national headlines. He's in a courtroom trying to protect little kids today as it relates to transgender issues. It's important stuff. And I'm guessing I already know the answer. Single most important thing they'll be covering tonight. It's the economy, Raven. That's what it is for me.
It is the economy. If we get a little shout out to the border, that's important. They're hand in hand at this point. But also for people to remember that this is going to be something that they're very much hiding on the Democrat side, because they've got to figure out a way to hide Biden. He can't debate, and they know it. So what they're going to be doing is everything in their strategy is predicated around protecting this man as he falls apart in real time. So just look at what the scape is tonight, what their actual solutions, and remembering that if we don't fix this issue with President Trump, none of their platforms matter. If the Democrats are allowed to continue to persecute political opponents like they did in Venezuela and Brazil and some of these other countries, then we are going to wind up just like it. None of these matter if we can't figure out how to get election integrity and get our country back on track. And Trump is leading the charge on that.
Yeah, and if you find yourself as one of those who typically wouldn't watch a GOP primary debate, I would suggest, watch this, because there's important things. We're thinking, okay, it's August of 2023, still a year plus from the general, a year from the primary. Things that are happening tonight on the TV, these are going to impact not just the country, but you listening to Wake Up Mid-Missouri right now. Raven, anything else that you'd like to add this morning before we let you go?
To stay vigilant. I mean, we know voters tend to have notoriously short memories, and I just invite people, keep your eyes on the prize, get the popcorn, and demand more from our elected officials. This has become a sideshow. These are prestigious offices. The highest and most important person in the land. Keep our eyes on the ball, and don't give your vote away. People died for it.
Political strategist Raven Harrison, RavenHarrison.com. Thank you so much. We will look forward to hanging out with you last week. Raven said Joe can't debate. Joe can't even tell the truth. We highlighted what he said the other day in Hawaii. How disheartening to joke and laugh in front of people in Hawaii where at least 114 people have died. We have audio we're going to be highlighting later this morning. He's told, and we already know, he lied about how impactful that house fire was on his house. We talked about how he was laughing and whining almost about how he almost lost his Corvette in a fire. So I can relate to you who've lost 114 lives. And brothers and sisters here, I almost lost a cat. I can relate. We have more. We know it's not the first time that he's told the story. He's told it before. But and you know this, whenever you lie, if you continue to lie, you forget your lies. Then you lie on top of the lies. And that's what's happened with Biden, as we've uncovered some audio of him talking about this story before. Coming up, 7:25-ish, we're going to be doing What's Hot with Hannah.
I have probably the cutest installment yet in the weird zoo animal stories.
Cute, weird, 7:25-ish, which means it's
It's 7:25.
time for What's Hot with Hannah.
Real quickly, before I get into What's Hot with Hannah, I got a notification about 5 minutes ago from one of my favorite coffee places. The app sent me a notification saying that they launched their pumpkin spice menu today.
Oh, brother, what? It's still August.
Yes.
It's like 100 degrees outside.
I know, but this gives me hope that we might not all roast to death, okay?
Speak for yourself.
Catch me in the coffee drive-thru after the show this morning.
Do we drink coffee when it's 100 and when it feels like it's 110 outside? Do we still drink the? Yeah, Stephanie Bell. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, you'll see Stephanie Bell is drinking
Hot coffee.
See, I'm an iced coffee all year round girly.
Gross.
And then you're talking about this app from your coffee shop. I want to remind folks, we have 93.9 The Eagle and KWS. We've got our apps are new and updated. These are sweet.
They're pretty snazzy, if I do say so myself.
Hannah, who designed them, what's the thing you're most excited about for the new apps?
I think it's really cool that when we're live on our YouTube channel, on the app, on the home screen, it'll show you the video feed. So it's a direct link. You just click it and you can pull up the Wake Up YouTube stream anytime.
And do it while you can, because Monday, new law goes into effect in Missouri. You can get pulled over if you're caught holding a handheld electronic device. That law goes into effect Monday.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't do it while you're driving.
It's a super easy. The app's super easy too. If you miss the show, to just get the recap. That's what I did yesterday. I was working, and then I was able to hear what y'all were talking about.
Hear what y'all were talking about. I was checking up on y'all.
That's where I discovered Monday's Hooters incident a whole 2 minutes into the 6 o'clock hour.
Speaking of Hooters, what's hot with Hannah this morning?
Okay, no, nothing related to Hooters, actually. It's another installment. I need like a produced intro at this point. In like weird zoo animal stories. This one is probably the cutest installment that we've seen yet, which means Stephanie will probably hate it. But there is a zoo in Tennessee. It's called Bright's Zoo. And they've gone viral this week because they announced the birth of a little baby giraffe. And when I say little, this baby giraffe is already 6 feet tall. But the unique thing about it is that it has no spots. It is a solid colored giraffe. And experts actually believe that this might be the only solid colored reticulated giraffe in the entire world. And it was born in Tennessee.
Does it? Do we know who the father was? Maybe that's got something to do with it.
Okay.
Isn't that the definition of a giraffe? Like, a zebra without stripes. Isn't that like just a horse? Isn't it something else when it doesn't have spots?
I don't know, but the zoo they're asking the internet what they should name this giraffe. And Ben on the Wake Up Facebook page is exactly on my wavelength of thinking. The name should obviously be Spot.
Boom. When I was a kid, teens, I used to trade, buy, and sell exotic boas and pythons. And my first reticulated python, his name was Fluffy.
There you go.
Yeah.
You were in the snake business?
I was kind of. I got your music whenever we do these animal stories.
Clock.
Cute animal music? Nah,
we can workshop that.
In other words, the answer is no.
But no, what would you name a spotless giraffe other than the obvious, which of course would be Spot?
Slick.
Slick?
How about that?
The names that the zoo has suggested that they have folks voting on are lame. They're all Swahili, and so they're like real exotic sounding.
And please tell me nobody said Jeffrey the giraffe. You know how many famous Jeffrey the giraffes there are?
It's a girl. It's a girl giraffe.
Oh, even better. Coming up a few minutes from now, Attorney General Andrew Bailey, State of Missouri, making national news headlines.
He did serve as empathizer in chief after 5 days of being mostly silent.
Oh, my gosh. CNN, Joe Biden, the horrendous thing he did in Hawaii a couple of days ago, talking about, I feel your pain because I almost lost my 67 Corvette and a cat in a house fire. And to give you an idea, because people talk about mainstream media, these national news outlets, we talk about how biased they are. And I love it when we have opportunities to play cold, hard examples. We know that is absolutely not what Joe did. He was not sympathizer in chief. He embarrassed himself. He embarrassed, frankly, as a world leader. He embarrassed me. I don't know how you took it, Steph. It's embarrassing, and it's sad.
It's very sad.
It's incredibly sad. And I bring that up this morning because our Attorney General, Andrew Bailey, right now, he is on his way to Springfield, Missouri, making national news headlines for what you are going to be doing in Springfield today. And you watch the news outlets and USA Today, and they're all saying, oh, my God, he wants to harm little kids and stuff. Mr. Bailey, what are you doing today?
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me on. This is all about protecting children. Our General Assembly passed a bill, and the governor signed it into law to stop harming children with quote-unquote pediatric transgender experimentation. There is no basis in healthcare or science to be sterilizing children who have gender dysphoria. And our legislature took action to stop it. Our governor signed that into law. That's two branches of government telling us that that is a constitutional measure. It is being attacked by Lambda Legal and the ACLU, and we're defending that measure in court. I'm telling you, this is an important issue. We are putting on evidence. We're not just going to submit affidavits or let the judge rule on the pleadings or just look at the plain text of the measure. We are going to justify that this is a compelling interest to protect kids by cross-examining the other side's witnesses and putting on our own evidence. And we were able to get the other side to admit under oath that they don't look at the studies from Europe that have said that these are dangerous procedures that have long-term serious negative health consequences. We got the other side to admit that the studies they're relying on are quasi-science, are based on weak science. And we're putting on detransitioners that are really victims of this system to make the public understand, to make the left wing acknowledge that this is serious and that there are victims being created by it, and it's the right thing to do that our General Assembly put a stop to it.
And you hear stories of these detransitioners, because it was all about, oh, I think I'm this, and so I'm going to go get surgery and forever change my body. And then there's just so many of them are saying, my gosh, I made an incredible mistake. I was going through a phase in life. And here's what I don't understand, Mr. Bailey. Washington state statute in Washington, RCW 2628.085. Every person who applies a tattoo to any minor under the age of 18 is guilty of a crime. In Washington, you cannot get a tattoo unless you're 18 years old. You can, under the age of 18, without parental consent, get a gender reassignment surgery. You're talking to these people. You're arguing against them in a courtroom. You're on your way right now while you're hanging out with us here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Are you getting any insight from what these people are thinking that something like this law in Washington is okay, or that doing these kinds of things with kids are okay? Have you been able to get any insight into the way these people are thinking and why they think that way?
No, you can't, because it's not based on any actual healthcare data or information or science. It is just a made-up left-wing lunacy, and it's harming kids, as you pointed out, in the state of Missouri. I can't consent to my 5-year-old riding in the front seat of my car because that's too dangerous. And yet somehow the other side of this thinks that it's okay to sterilize children who are going through a phase in life. They come in with a mental health condition, gender dysphoria, and the other side wants to sterilize them. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. History is not going to look kindly upon this, and that's why I'm so proud to live in a state where our General Assembly has taken action to put a stop to it. Proud to have led the fight on this, and we're going to defend the constitutionality of the statute. And I'm confident in our legal position. The 11th Circuit just within the last week has issued an opinion in a case in Alabama affirming their law. So that, look, the trend is going in the right direction for us on this issue, and we're going to continue to fight to protect kids.
Going in the right direction, literally and figuratively. You're hearing a very passionate Attorney General Andrew Bailey this morning on Wake Up Mid-Missouri, and his passion is because it's craziness, and he has kids too. Andrew Bailey joining us this morning here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. A couple of things that we wanted to talk about this morning.
General, talk to us about the whole AMA's backing of these drugs, and they're quick to point out that the puberty blockers and all that have been on the market since the 1990s. How do you combat their argument?
Well, it's the same kind of stuff you heard during COVID, except during COVID they weren't sterilizing anyone. And so what happens is you get a group of doctors who say, well, it's safer if we just go ahead and put on masks. It's safer if we go ahead and social distance. It's safer if we don't allow the kids to go to school. And what we realize is there's actually negative long-term consequences to that kind of behavior. And it wasn't ever based on actual scientific data and study. And so similarly here, the AMA is saying, hey, look, puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, those have been on the market forever. Yeah, but you're using them off-label when you're prescribing them to treat gender dysphoria. There are 0 FDA approvals showing or approving puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones for treatment of gender dysphoria. There are 0 clinical assessments showing it's safe or effective. Now, what happened during COVID when President Trump said that, hey, here's some experimental drugs that we think may help COVID? Right? I mean, people lost their minds on the website. Oh, there's nothing to back that up. You can't use that off-label. And yet that's exactly what they're promoting here because they're that dedicated to the sterilization of children.
General Bailey, we appreciate you joining us. I do want to make just kind of read one part of this statute, which really kind of sums it up. It basically says, Senate Bill 49, no health care provider shall perform gender transition surgeries on any minor. Critics will say that is unconstitutional. I'd like you to respond to that, and I know you're here to talk about this huge case, but a quick comment, if you will, as well, on Samuel Brotherton's guilty plea this week in court.
Well, let me just say we're going to hold wrongdoers accountable. And, a guilty plea means that the person's taking responsibility, is going to take their medicine and go to the Department of Corrections, which is exactly where they need to be. And so we'll always do the right thing. I'm a prosecutor first and a politician second. I come from a prosecutor's office and upholding the rule of law, finding justice for victims, and supporting our men and women in law enforcement is really imperative to me. Let me go to the constitutionality of this measure to protect kids real quick. Think about this. So the plaintiffs in this case, Lambda Legal and the ACLU, have claimed that trying to prevent sterilization of children is an equal protection clause violation. And I want everybody to think about that for a second. Equal protection clause violation. 100 years of equal protection clause jurisprudence is based on immutable characteristics. You can't discriminate against people based on immutable characteristics, things they can't change. And yet the plaintiffs in this case are supporting that gender is mutable. Their argument falls on its face. It's a house of cards. It's a fallacy, the same way that saying that this is somehow healthcare is a fallacy.
I think, you're really winning, and you've been chalking up a lot of wins when you don't even have to sue. You just start putting people on notice. I saw this yesterday. Yesterday, you put the St. Louis mayor on notice that said, hey, if you plan to do this, I'm going to sue you. So you should just, stand down now. Tell us what she's trying to do and what you plan to do if she moves forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the city of St. Louis has announced that, specifically Mayor Tashara Jones has announced that she intends to ban military-style rifles and prevent people who commit quote-unquote hate crimes or quote-unquote are insurrectionists, which, by the way, that means she gets to decide what those terms mean, that those people can't have guns. And that's illegal. It's unconstitutional. We're going to fight to protect Missourians' Second Amendment rights, but it goes beyond the Second Amendment. Article 1, Section 23 of the Missouri Constitution is our right to keep and bear arms in the state of Missouri, and it's actually more robust than the federal Constitution. The founders understood that the states were guarantors of individual liberty and that the federal Constitution, created a floor, not a ceiling. The people of the state of Missouri have expanded upon those rights in Article 1, Section 23. Her measure is unconstitutional. We put her on notice so that now if she moves forward with this, she will be intentionally violating our constitutional right to bear arms. We're going to stand up and fight for the right of folks to defend themselves and fight back against progressive city leaders who want to infringe upon our individual liberties.
As it relates to transgender surgery, it's going to be interesting to see what shakes loose in Springfield today. Hopefully we can get an update for you by tomorrow's show. I want to ask you this, too, before we let you go. Not only are you our Attorney General, by the way, your predecessor, U.S. Senator Eric Schmitt, he's here at 8:10. Want to get his take on what he might be watching in the debate tonight. He's also going to be he's been traveling the state, chatting with folks. Interesting to hear kind of that man on the street, what people are saying in other parts of the state as it relates to the state of things today. Not only are you the Attorney General, though, you live in Missouri, you have a family, and you vote. So I assume that you are going to be watching the GOP. There's more of a personal question, Mr. Bailey. I assume you're going to be watching the GOP debate tonight. Just as a voter, what is it that you might be looking for tonight?
Well, I think President it is his Republican Party. I mean, he truly did. Things were objectively better when he was in office. We had a better foreign policy. We were a hegemonic leader. We were a world leader in Ukraine. We didn't have North Korea. saber rattling and threatening its neighbors. We didn't have the issues on the international stage. We didn't have a botched withdrawal from Afghanistan that left U.S. service members dead on the battlefield. So President Trump was a strong leader on the foreign policy issues, but domestically as well. Joblessness numbers were down. Illegal border crossing, criminal border crossings were down. Things were in a better state with Donald Trump in office, and he clearly articulated how he was going to achieve that. And then he went out and did it. I mean, this is the show me state. We are all about productivity and accountability. You got to show us the results. So who on that stage can match what President Trump, the vision, the productivity, and the accountability that he provided during his term in office?
Final question. Where are you right now? And I know you're on your way to Springfield. While you're hanging out with us here this morning on Wake Up Mid-Missouri, about what town are you in right now?
Yeah, passing through Camden County, Lake of the Ozarks right now, just a few exits away from Bagnell Dam. We're heading down to Springfield to court to watch our litigation team, and it's a defense of the measure to prevent sterilization of children in the state of Missouri.
As soon as the show's over, I'm going to contact folks in Camden County, see if we can't do something about the cell service through there. Mr. Andrew Bailey, our attorney. No, you're good, man. We appreciate you. Missouri's Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Have a safe trip.
Thanks, guys. All the best to you and your listeners.
Coming up, we got to be doing, and that would be all except for this. What can we look forward to this morning, John?
How about the summer of Barbie in a Go Cup?
Summer of Barbie in a Go
Up 8, S&P 500 down 12.
How is it going to be looking moving forward? We're going to find out in the morning bell at 8:25. We'll give you some opening numbers just minutes before the stock market opens, and then of course morning bell business news with a little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
We know Bidenomics is shrinking our 401k and our savings and our bank account, but it's also shrinking this.
And that would be all, except for this.
Yes, it is, without a doubt, the summer of Barbie. And if you were headed back to the theaters to watch the Barbie movie one more time, you should stop for the sweet treat of the summer on the way because, of course, Starbucks has the Barbie Frap on its secret menu. The pink drink, this is the one Hannah would know, popping up all over TikTok. It's same exact color as the Barbie Dreamhouse. So without further ado, how to order your Barbie Frappuccino from the Starbucks secret menu. Just ask for a vanilla bean cream frap with half and half instead of milk. Then add 3 pumps of vanilla syrup, 2 pumps of strawberry puree and dragon fruit. Don't skip the whip on top, and ask for extra dragon fruit crumbles to top it off. Your Instagram-worthy drink. You'll be ready to go. I don't know what. Rollerblading or hanging out with the girls on a girls' night, and probably Ken would opt for the chocolate drizzle on top. And now you have the inside track on the rest of the Barbie Frap from Buc-ee's.
From Buc-ee's?
Buc-ee's.
Brandon's face the entire time you were describing how to order this Barbie drink was priceless. His eyebrows were furrowed down the whole time. Like, what the heck?
And you can see that, by the way. Watch the show on our YouTube channel.
Or don't.
Or don't. But it's cool. It's cool moments like that in the show. Some of the things that happen behind the scenes that get people in mid-Missouri talking. Families now, the kids are back in school. They're getting up. Life is kind of hectic again after the summer off. And they're putting us up on their smart TV. They're putting up the YouTube, and they're watching because they're getting local news and how these things are going to be impacting us. And the whole time that's going on, all I can think about this Barbie frap. Pepto-Bismol. That's the only thing.
That's what it looks like.
Right. It looks like just it's Pepto-Bismol, but we put it over ice and put a shot of vanilla in there.
So this morning, once the Gary Nolan show starts, John is going to get his Barbie Frappuccino.
That's right.
And
I've got $9.80 sitting here.
There you go. And I'm going to get my iced PSL.
No.
There you go.
What's PSL?
Pumpkin spice latte.
Is the pink thing, is it iced? It's cold, or is it hot?
Frappuccino is cold. It's
Yeah,
ice
fraps are
blended.
So it looks like Pepto-Bismol.
It does look like Pepto-Bismol.
That's what I think. Oh,
I'm laughing picturing John drinking this fluorescent pink Frappuccino.
Go get yourself.
And leave a pink mustache would probably be what another accomplishment would
Oh,
be.
yeah.
I mean, just get a strawberry milkshake. Like, why does everything so complicated? If you wanted a pink drink, seems pretty easy.
I've had lunch with John Marsh on numerous occasions. Matter of fact, we had lunch in Ashland yesterday. Pizza House, really good pizza, small local restaurant.
Thanks for the invite.
We did. And you want to join us tomorrow there?
Mm-hmm.
Can't be there tomorrow. Stephanie's going to be at the debate, which is happening tonight. It's coming up about 12 hours from now. You'll be able to watch it on Fox. Stephanie Bell will be there, and she'll have a rundown for us tomorrow morning. And here's what I love what we've been doing on the show this morning, as a matter of fact, is so we've got a perspective on what we want to see. And if there's something you'd like to see at the debate, like what is it you're looking for, would really love to get your thoughts, 874-9390. So we've had Stephanie's take and what she's looking for. We've had the point of view from producer Hannah, 23-year-old college grad who is a conservative. John Marsh, we've had his point of view, what he might like to see. I would like to see who emerges as, the second place guy. Like to see how Vivek Ramaswamy handles. He's smooth, man. He is polished, but I wonder if that works in the debate format. And I'm looking forward to hearing like some real stuff. The popcorn stuff, the shouting and the fighting and that's fun for a little bit, but I do want to hear some stuff. I think that would be interesting. Also, we're getting perspective from one of our U.S. senators, U.S. Senator Eric Schmitt. He's joining us at 8:10. He's been traveling around Missouri, chatting with folks, and we're going to ask him what he might want to see as a voter, what he might like to see.
I'm kind of like Steph on the angle of wanting to see somebody fall flat on their face. We think back to the Trump debates of years gone by, and where Jeb Bush just sort of deer in the headlights.
Has Stephanie talked much about the security measures that they have to go through to watch this thing tonight? Or can we talk about that?
That's point A on the list of security measures. Don't talk about the security measures.
Never mind.
I can't bring a purse, and I don't know if I will be allowed a bathroom break. I think I will be, but I'm nervous. And we got to be there really early.
So when Stephanie goes to the debate, that's what she's looking for tonight. She's looking for a restroom. Well, because you have to get there so early. There's
Tonight, former President Donald Trump, who's skipping the GOP debate.
We have Tim Scott, who's planning to roll out his debate strategy by trying to introduce himself to the American people as more than just Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina, and really somebody that can lead this nation. He really plans to just introduce himself and his message to the American people.
About 12 hours away, Stephanie Bell at that debate tonight. Live reports tomorrow morning. We've had reaction, what we're expecting from our 23-year-old college grad producer Hannah, from Stephanie Bell, a mid-Missourian, from Marsh, from our current Attorney General Andrew Bailey as a voter, what he might be expecting in the debate tonight. We're going to ask U.S. Senator Eric Schmitt what he is going to be watching for, because besides being one of our U.S. senators, he's also a voter. But I want to start here as the senator joins us now here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. I know you've been traveling through the state recently, and I love to ask this question. Just what are you hearing from everyday folks like us about the future of the country?
Yeah, I mean, we've been around. We were in Cape Girardeau and Sykeston, at the Sykeston Rodeo, at the State Fair in Sedalia, and Springfield and Branson, and Kansas City area. I'll be in northern Missouri today. So we're getting around. And, every region's a little bit different. But I think that for Missourians, they're still struggling. Everything's so darn expensive. And, and you've got Joe Biden talking about Bidenomics and trying to convince everybody like a Jedi mind trick, that everything's okay and that, that people shouldn't be feeling the pain every time they go to the grocery store, but they do. And, it is not rocket science when you declare war on domestic energy production and you spend a lot of money that we don't have, the price on everything goes up. And that's what people are experiencing in their real lives every week when they go to the grocery store, every time they fill up the pump, or every time they go to the pump, every time they do anything where they've got to spend money. It's just a lot more expensive. The average household is spending $10,000 more a year than they did just a couple years ago on the same stuff. So that's what people are frustrated with that. And I think they're also just, this administration is just so out of touch. All these rules that are coming down that send jobs to China and don't certainly look out for America. It's wearing on people. So they're frustrated with that.
Senator, excuse me, thank you so much for joining us. I want to ask you about the feedback you received at the State Fair, because when you and I were growing up, rural Missouri outside of Greene County was all Democratic. I mean, virtually no Republicans were in the legislature, and they didn't vote Republican. Now it's virtually just the opposite. What kind of feedback did you get specifically at the State Fair from your rural constituents?
Look, rural Missouri is very conservative. I mean, in my election last year, we were getting, to your point, 83, 85% of the vote in some of these counties. And I think a lot of that is the Democrat Party is so radical now that it's really hard for anybody in rural Missouri to identify with these sort of, local warriors you've got in Washington. And Missouri Democrats don't offer much of a contrast. They sort of parrot the lines. But at the State Fair specifically, clearly, agriculture is really important. And so that's really a time for everybody to celebrate it. But it's also, honestly, for me, I love going and been going for years and years now. My family's actually from mid-Missouri, tipped in Pilot Grove originally. I think I probably talked to you guys about it. So there's some, family reunions that happen for me along the way, sometimes at these at the state fairs. But I like it because you actually get to talk to real people on the ground. It's not scripted. Whether you're in the, eating ribs or at the beef house, people are they appreciate that you're accessible and you're there. They're glad you're there, and people just want to talk about what's going on. And I really appreciate that. It's why in this August recess, we've made a real effort to get around the state. I just think that's really important.
Now, I saw that you did stop at Whiteman Air Force Base. You've been doing work on the Armed Services Committee. What were you talking to the folks at Whiteman about?
Well, Whiteman is a very, very important military base, not just for Missouri, but for the country. The B-2 stealth bomber there, part of the nuclear triad, is there. And we worked really hard in the Armed Services Committee to make sure that is secure, and also for the B-21, which is coming, kind of the next-gen bomber there, that's, to be a Whiteman. So that's a big focus of what I've been doing on the Armed Services Committee, including Fort Leonard Wood. We've got $30 million for new housing there at Fort Leonard Wood. We've got have legislation in the NDAA to make sure spouses who are moving across the country, they can make it easier for them to be a nurse in Missouri or a teacher in Missouri or whatever it is that they do, to make that easier from a regulatory standpoint. So we're doing a lot of stuff there. We also in that National Defense Authorization Bill, got to have hiring freeze on all DEI hires. I mean, this stuff is so divisive, Stephanie. It has no place in our military. Congress never voted on this stuff. The Biden administration has pushed this down on the military, and it's divisive. And I'm not talking about recruiting to a wide swath of the country and every demographic. That's a good thing. We should be doing that. But the military's been this great meritocracy. It's been where people from any socioeconomic ladder can be a war hero, and a ticker tape parade can be thrown in their honor. They wear uniforms and have haircuts. There's a reason, because we want cohesion. We don't want this divisive DEI ideology, which is essentially cultural Marxism. But the Biden administration, they're so obsessed with this stuff that you got a lot of damage, in the wake there. So we're fighting to get rid of that stuff and also make sure that we're very focused on China, which is a real threat. It really is. And they're not just an economic powerhouse that we've got to deal with, but also military. I mean, they have a bigger Navy than we have now. They're in space. They have islands that are fully weaponized. So we got to take that seriously.
U.S. Senator Eric Schmitt joining us this morning on Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
Senator, it's probably been 4 or 5 months ago that you and Jeff Landry were right in the middle of the weaponization of the federal government and all the issues over social media and censorship and all. Past all that, does that still ring true?
Yeah. I will tell you, when we filed that lawsuit, Missouri versus Biden, of course, a lot of folks in the liberal media panned it as frivolous. Well, the judge agreed on the 4th of July, issued this preliminary injunction after all the discovery. And what we found was this vast censorship enterprise. It's scary. And I don't care if you're a Republican or you're a Democrat or a conservative liberal. It doesn't matter. The idea that the federal government working with and colluding with and coercing the biggest companies in the history of the world, big tech companies, to suppress the speech of Americans is really scary stuff. And so I've tried to carry that fight now into the Senate and filed a couple bills to make sure that if big tech companies are doing this, they lose their Section 230 protections. And if you're an individual who's had your First Amendment rights violated, you can sue individual government actors. It's like a Section 1983 claim. We, as AG, we, led that fight. I'm doing it in the Senate, but we need an army of citizens who are willing to stand up and push back against this violation of our most fundamental rights to speak our mind and self-expression.
U.S. Senator Eric Schmitt's joining us this morning. Wake Up Mid-Missouri, of course, U.S. Senator. But, Mr. Schmitt, you're also a voter. You have a family. You watch, you pay attention. You want to see how things are going, especially in a GOP presidential race. I know that you are going to be watching the debate tonight. Just as a voter, kind of what is it that you are looking for? What do you want to see tonight?
I think that it's an opportunity for other candidates. I'm supporting President Trump. In fact, I just spoke with President Trump this week about, how things are going. I was on the ground in Iowa. What was it, last Monday? He's got a really strong operation up there, which I think is important. But I think for our party, I think it's really important that candidates speak to, for me, the issues that are most important. You've got, inflation. We need to be energy dominant again. We need to be exporting energy. We need to be a net exporter. We've got to be willing to take on these fights, because the truth is the Democrats have weaponized these bureaucracies and administrative state in a way we've never seen before in this country. And I think you got to have somebody strong who's going to stand up to that, be a disruptor, but then fight for working families. The Democrats have become a party of and for the elites. And that's certainly not Missouri. Missouri is in the heart of America, and I think I want someone on that stage who's going to speak to that. But I think President Trump is the best candidate out there, is going to be the nominee, and was the 45th president and be the 47th president.
U.S. Senator Eric Schmitt, anything else you'd like to add to be of service to the citizens here in Missouri before we let you go?
Well, we're just working hard, and we just want people to know, reach out to our office if you've got issues. We've been fielding a lot of passport requests. The State Department, is spending millions and millions of dollars for DEI trainings in Europe, but can't process these passports in a timely manner. It's sort of a core function of what they do. So we've been really pressuring them, fighting for Missourians so they can travel. But if anybody has any issues that are coming up, make sure they let our office know. We want to be best in class for constituent services. It's really important to me.
Senator Eric Schmitt, thank you for your time this morning on Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
Take care, guys.
All right. Interesting from a U.S. Senator's point of view, because, we think about these people. They vote, too, So I just think it's been pretty interesting. Hannah, the big thing is a 23-year-old conservative college grad, like the one big thing you're looking for tonight.
Economic solutions, and I'm keeping my eye on the underdogs.
Steph Bell's going to be there. What are you looking for as a Mid-Missourian?
I want to see someone stand out. I want to see some excitement. Like everyone was excited for Trump in 2016. I don't feel like people. I'm going to disagree a bit with the senator. I don't think. Not that he's saying he's supporting Trump, but I don't think the base and the excitement is there for Trump. I don't think he can win. I want to see us be excited about a candidate who can win and who has a fresh perspective.
My money, one of the underdogs who's really going to surprise tonight, come out on fire. It's going to be Mike Pence. John,
I'm just wondering if Vivek Ramaswamy will show up shirtless for the event.
I am going to be looking at the outfits. And so I think there's always a debate. I am going to guess that Nikki Haley comes out in white as kind of
winners wear white.
I think she comes out in white, and then whether or not I would have a struggle. Do you wear the red tie? Do you wear the blue tie? Do you wear a purple tie? Do you wear a pinstripe? I don't know. I'm excited about the outfits.
Hey, now that we're all back together, I know Houseworth had to run out here real quick, but now that we're all back together, there was something really cool I wanted to tell y'all. Guess what I saw the other night? A live armadillo.
What?
Oh.
Yes.
Did you touch it?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
touch
thank goodness.
It was in near Mount Sterling, Gasconade County.
Did you run over it with your car?
I tried like 3 times, and I just couldn't get the dang thing. I saw live, and I was like, oh my gosh, I felt like I had met a celebrity because there's hundreds of dead armadillos down 54, 63 I-70. I've never seen a live one. I saw a live one the other night. It's been the highlight of my week so far.
Well, you were bordering on a conspiracy theory about someone dumping dead armadillos on the side of the road there for a little bit. So I'm glad that we can put that one to rest.
And I wanted to share that with y'all. Coming up, we're going to be doing the Morning Bell business news. Little twist only Stephanie Bell can give you.
We know thanks to Bidenomics,
Morning Bell business news with a little twist only Stephanie Bell can give you.
The futures are just as excited about the debate as we are. They're feeling hopeful this morning. They're all in the green. S&P up about 0.25%. NASDAQ a little higher than that. Dow futures up 10% or so. So exciting stuff today in our country. Not so exciting. More shrinkage thanks to Biden. Now, we've talked about it before. And we talked about
hot water on. Jeez.
It shrinks?
Did you ever see the Seinfeld episode where George had been in the swimming pool?
Like a frightened turtle.
Oh, God. Sorry, you were talking impactful business stuff. Steph.
We've talked about shrinkflation, where a lot of people who produce products are trying to keep things at the same price. And so you think, oh, this liquid drink bottle, let's say Gatorade or whatever, is the same price. It's still $1.99. And then you realize, oh, wait, but I'm getting 4 ounces less. And so that's been going on for a while. And the official term for that is shrinkflation. But now it's happening to our homes. And so while more people are wanting more bedrooms, home square footage sizes are shrinking by quite a bit. Since 2008, the average new house has decreased by 10% to 2,400 square feet. And so then you're thinking, okay, but they still want the 4 bedrooms. So what are we, are all of the rooms just smaller? What are we eliminating? And I think I've been having this debate, and I don't know the right answer. So if you have the right answer, let me know. They say they're getting rid of dining rooms, which how often, whenever I set the dining room table, my kids are like, what are we doing in here?
Is it Christmas?
I was wondering
confused
about that. Actually, John Marsh and I, we had lunch yesterday in Ashland at Pizza House, and we were talking small town stuff with the owner and the kind of the challenges for a small business owner, and we're talking about we call them dinner table topics. Does anybody still sit at the dinner table?
Yes, we do, but maybe not at the formal dining room. And that's the first room. Like a lot of times when you walk in your house, and I keep thinking, like, what can I do with this room where I would actually use it? I should put like a desk in here and just turn it into an office, which I think a lot of people are doing.
I was going to say, my mom turned our formal dining room growing up into an office like years ago.
Yeah, the other thing they say the home builders are eliminating to get these smaller homes. So the point of the reason people are building smaller homes is because of, obviously, Bidenomics, the economy. People have less to spend on housing. And then also with the mortgage rates, they have less, it's becoming more expensive to lend for housing. So one way to make it more affordable is to just build smaller homes. And that's why we're seeing this shrinkage. But the other things are nixing from the list, separate living rooms. And growing up, a lot of people had like a den, what they would call like a den or like a TV room or like a downstairs TV room. So they're saying, I also have a formal living room, I guess. And yeah, it's like, when you go to your grandma's house, it's covered in plastic. No one sits in the formal living room because you're afraid you're going to break anything, right? So a lot of those are going by the wayside, which probably, but this one I've been debating because I need to do a bathroom renovation. I have a teeny tiny little shower and this giant bathtub. And I like a bath every now and again, but I'm like, I would much rather have a ginormous shower but I don't have room for both. And so I've been telling my husband, just eliminate the bathtub. We'll just get a giant shower. But then I've heard from other people, you will not sell your house if you don't have a nice bathtub. And so, but according to the Wall Street Journal and according to these business people, a lot of people on that list, when they're saying, hey, we got to reduce, we got to get a smaller build footprint, bathtubs are coming off the list.
So it is true. The economy goes cold and there's shrinkage with things like homes. Incidentally, on a scientific basis.
Oh my gosh! Did you type Oh my gosh! You typed that into the Google. No! Don't read that.
I wanted a fact check.
Oh my gosh!
What is going on in there?
We're talking about the famous Seinfeld episode.
One of the engineers is getting ready to walk into the studio. What did you do?
So I wanted to fact check that Seinfeld episode with George in the swimming pool.
is ejected from the game. Contreras just got thrown out. He's going to draw the strike zone. He's going to toss the bat, too. Frustration boiling over in the Cardinals' seventh.
I feel about the Cardinals baseball game last night, which is fun. Did you see any of these videos, John, with Contreras and Ollie Marmol being ejected last night?
Ollie's been getting the finger a lot lately, hasn't he?
8 times this year, I think.
I think so.
Pretty impressive for him. But Contreras took his bat. Now, Contreras, catcher for the Cardinals, and he's been watching the strike zone all night. He knows what it is, but he's saying when he's up to bat, it's a different strike zone. He took the bat and more than once, like Drew, tried to show the ump, here's the strike zone. He flipped his bat. But it's kind of like a lot of our presidential debates. Because
there's a segue of the morning.
Well, because it's inconsequential August baseball for a team that will not make the playoffs, and it hurts a little bit because we're used to the Cardinals being in the playoffs.
Well, Uncle Charlie's stuck on 190-something career wins.
Yeah, I think it was like his 8th loss in a row, and nobody's more heartbroken about it than he is. Is what it does. It gives a lot of detractors who said last year, "Oh yeah, he should retire."
Wayno should have retired.
Yeah. So that's what the debate. That's kind of what it's like. Cardinal baseball, like you just want it to go crazy, and it got a little crazy. And by the way, they got clobbered again to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Some of the fun things. Apparently, Doug Burgum, debate tonight. There might potentially some developing news on this.
I'm sad about it because just like you said, I wanted to see a live armadillo. I'm still confused. Like, how many people really could possibly live in North Dakota named Doug? Does Doug Burgum really exist? I was hoping to put any rumors to rest tonight and see him live in the flesh. And apparently, he was playing pickup basketball yesterday with the staff and visited the emergency room, which sounds like an ACL, MCL, some sort of, that sounds like what, and so, so anyway, they said he might not, his attendance is in question for this evening because apparently he visited the ER yesterday.
And that's the one guy I'd kind of like to see. I know the least about him. I know Tim Scott, I know Haley and Ramaswamy, and I want to see how Ramaswamy does in a crowd of people. But maybe that's his prop. We were talking about what they're going to be wearing. Maybe he comes out on crutches, and he's got a cast or something. Maybe that's the prop that he's wearing.
Maybe we get our buddy from down the hall, Doug Coda, to step in for him.
Yeah, I like it.
I was just trying to track him down. Apparently, we're good friends, but I don't have his text number.
Does making an appearance on a debate stage, though, with crutches kind of make you look like a frail, puny old guy?
Like Joe, he's basically, he's on crutches every day, in effect, man. And it works for him, right? It's the Uncle Joe thing. Yeah.
Everyone's obsessed with Taylor Swift's workout routine, what she had to do to get ready to do these 3-hour shows and whatever. I would love to know what's the day before your debate and what's the prep look like. We've gotten some of these memos have been leaked and we've heard in the past, even some of I think DeSantis's original debate prep got leaked, but I would love to know, what does that schedule look like? And I think on the list, number 1 would be don't injure yourself the day before. But also, we saw Ramaswamy, he was playing tennis. I think probably get out, get some fresh air, move your body probably is on the list to just keep yourself alert and ready to go. But injuries were probably amongst the don'ts. If I was, an advisor saying, don't get a bad sunburn. Don't, what else? What would be embarrassing? Whose eyebrow fell off? Remember that? He had oh, come on, you guys.
I'm thinking this is very similar to when Brandon got us booted off YouTube for 2 weeks. The week of a YouTube-only live event we were planning.
I hit that one out of the park, Marsh. Timing was impeccable. Welcome to the show. It's Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Stephanie Bell is, as soon as she's done with the show this morning, she is headed to Milwaukee. Reports bright and early-ish tomorrow morning. Because we can watch all the TVs and we're going to see what they're going to say about what they thought about the presidential debate. But having the perspective of somebody who lives here in mid-Missouri, I think is going to be unique and valuable. Really excited for that. There's producer Hannah.
Hello.
There's John Marsh.
Still trying to remember whose eyebrow.
It was Ron Paul, and he was talking, and he had toupee eyebrows, and one came loose in the middle of
a runaway caterpillar,
and it was kind of falling down his face. So if you're wearing any sort of toupee or other falsies, make sure they're glued on pretty good.
It's like when Stephanie brought in those fake mustaches for John's birthday, and Brandon immediately stuck to his eyebrows.
And I think that's I'm excited, and I want to see how people prepare, but also we've heard some of their speeches already, right? Like we heard them at the Tucker thing and all that. So I don't want people to get up and hear talking points. I don't want to hear the same stories and the same stuff that I've already heard. I want the candidates tonight to feel fresh, with real examples, not just platitudes. And I want them to be talking to me, the Midwesterner.
Frank in Westphalia this morning, off the text, 874-9390. Here's what they're saying in Westphalia. I almost stepped on a live armadillo this morning. Before sunrise, going to open my chickens for the day.
Maybe it was the same one from Mount Sterling.
It might be. I found that's been the highlight. I'm here. It's Wednesday. I know the highlight is going to be tomorrow and hearing from Stephanie at the debate. But so far, my highlight this week, I finally saw a live armadillo. Had never seen one, and I don't know. I mean, outside of a zoo, I was fascinated.
Did you hear the skunk? You heard the skunk update on Saturday night, didn't you?
So Stephanie's husband had to deal. They were trying to catch a groundhog or something
In downtown Jefferson City. They put up one of those big cage traps because it was tearing up the yard. They show up in the morning and they're like, "Oh, we got something. We finally caught that groundhog." And they go outside.
Nope.
It's a big skunk.
Live
skunk.
How do you remove a skunk from a trap?
Very careful.
Very carefully. So what do they have to do?
They, I guess, looked on YouTube, and you're supposed to talk really nice to the skunk. And yes, and cover it up with like a tarp, which they didn't have.
How nice. You got to take it out to dinner or something?
Oh, yeah. And so you cover it up, apparently, and make sure it feels really secure. And they covered it with a trash bag. They put it in a truck. They went and released it on some land, but apparently it's a friendly skunk. And even after, and it never sprayed. So this is incredible, right? I'm like, you're for sure. And also, Chris Bell, if you get sprayed by a skunk, you're uninvited to my birthday party. Is what I told him. But they released the skunk, and all was well until a couple hours later, and they found the skunk in their garage because it had wandered back from wherever they had released it.
Really?
Because he'd been wooed, man. He was the dude was wooed because he had to be real nice to it and everything. And the skunk apparently,
they said it was a city skunk, and it didn't want to be in the wild. It just wanted to make friends.
What's the old line about why skunks don't spray politicians?
I don't know.
Professional courtesy.
874-9390. 874-9390. Lenny says Justin Trudeau, Canada. He's got a falling brow.
Kylie Jenner went through that too, didn't she?
Kylie Jenner, yeah. She's got some makeup out now. I think that was all a ploy. We've gotten some good names for the giraffe, too. Have we gotten there yet?
What's Hot with Hannah? We do every morning, 7:25. Giraffe born with like no markings. It's just a brown giraffe. And so the zoo's doing a contest. What do you name the giraffe? And some interesting names. And we got, I thought, one of the more interesting texts on a name suggestion. This is on the Wake Up Mid-Missouri Facebook page, by the way. You can follow us there. The name Jane for giraffe. Plain Jane.
I think that's my winner.
That should get winner of the week points.
How about
for that.
Jane Narek? Or not.
Very nice try. If you get a chance, Randy Tobler, host of the Randy Tobler Show, weekdays 4 to 6 here on the radio station. He's got an interesting story about actually getting sprayed with a skunk. Because I don't
really.
Because that's my next quest. I've wanted to see a live. I see dead armadillos all over I-70, 63, 54, 50. Had never seen a live armadillo until the other morning, and it's been the highlight of my week. I don't think I've ever met, with the exception of Randy Tobler, and I still have never gotten the full story. I would love to. What do you do legitimately when you get sprayed by a skunk? I've heard tomato bath, tomato juice bath. I've heard lemon bath, but I've never heard anybody actually say, I did this and it worked. I've never met anybody I think that's ever actually been sprayed.
Yeah, until Friday, my husband said he'd never even seen like a skunk in real life. I mean, never not seen one just dead on the road. So, yikes.
I had a dog once who got sprayed by it. We went the whole tomato routine on the dog.
Did it work?
We just stayed away from the dog for a while.
You're on your own for a while. Some of the things covered up, so we still have some leftovers. I do want to cover this really quick. Mid-Missouri Schools, our news partners at ABC 17. More Missouri schools are using a safety app as the school year begins. We've got almost 20,000 students in Columbia, and you got students all across Jefferson City, all across the place. Jefferson City Police Lieutenant David Williams chatting with ABC's 17 Marina Diaz.
There are calls that don't rise to the level of an active threat to where on the large scale people think active shooter, but we really need to talk about the fact that it's not always a firearm.
And I thought that was an interesting reminder because a lot of times you say school safety and what do we do to protect kids, and a lot of folks right away, well, and Lieutenant Williams, they're reminding us, hey, it's not just those big things. There's also other things that we like to pay attention to. I appreciate the words there. Coming up a few minutes from now, before we get into the Gary get to as we talk about all these kids going back to school. AI. Now it was November of 2022 when Stephanie Bell turned me on to things. ChatGPT, AI. By the way, AI has been in existence for a while. It's just now we, the people, can access it, and it's been fun and it's been weird. And I'm wondering what's going to happen in these local schools regarding artificial intelligence, how they're going to be covering it. Experts are saying the biggest thing, as with any new technology, it is important to understand how you're engaging with that technology. Because remember, we'd get onto these things like social media, websites, and then it comes out, well, they glean your information from that and all these things we learn kind of after the fact. And the other big thing they are saying, you got to remember, just like anything else when it comes to tech and this AI tech that's taking, gleaning stuff from other websites, it can be prone to mistakes. Marsh, what do you got for leftovers?
Did you see the video that Fox News put up over that 98-year-old woman in the Kansas newspaper case and all? And then she was yelling at the deputies to get out of her house with a walker. And then she died like 2 days later.
Yeah, and Hannah brought up a good point. So this whole thing, this Kansas newspaper, and I've got the audio here, actually, and I have bleeped it. If we have a minute to play this, it is very compelling. Or I'll tell you what, let's do this. Gary Nolan has a very cool fill-in host today.
He's all right.
Not as cool as Jennifer Bukowski. He's been doing it the past couple of days. I think I might do that in the Gary Nolan show before 10 o'clock. But I'll play some of it here. This newspaper in Marion County, Kansas, population, the county in Kansas, about 2.5 hours southwest of Kansas City. The county population smaller than the population of Fulton, Missouri. Some stuff with the police chief, and we talk about Department of Justice going after people. And so they go after Trump. Those aren't talking points. We say that stuff because it's important, because we talk about how it can happen on a local level. That's exactly what happened to a newspaper. Law enforcement, because of politics, went after people. The 98-year-old owner of the newspaper, they're saying, well, we served a search warrant, which afterwards was rescinded because they know it's all BS. It was a raid. And this woman, this 98-year-old woman, 48 hours then before she died of a heart attack, incidentally. There's video, some audio from this raid from police.
Don't you touch any of that stuff. This is my house. I know. Ma'am.
So get out of my house. And she's on a walker. I mean, she's on her walker, and these cops are just in there. And you heard this one cop say, I don't know if you could hear it, if it was detectable, but this other cop is trying to tell her, hey, settle down. And the other cop said, you're wasting your breath. And she's not done.
You ass. We'll be out of here pretty quick. Get him out of here. Your mother loves you. You love your mother. You're an ass. Please, Chief.
You love your mother. I love that. That 98-year-old woman, until they killed her, they had spunk. I had a great-grandma, Stella, died at the age of 99 and a half. And that woman drank Budweiser beer, ate raw oysters, and she told dirty jokes until the day she died. I love that woman, Grandma Estelle. And there's more to this. We're going to do this in the Gary Nolan
Good for
show.
her.
Anything for leftovers? Steph is on her way out. She's going to the debate. We'll get her take tomorrow morning.
We know the finalists for the Missouri Supreme Court. They did interviews earlier this week. Of course, we have the Missouri court plan, and so the Missouri Appellate Judicial Commission selects 3 finalists, and those go to the governor to pick. I believe he has 60 days to pick. I will note, so 2 of the judges are, 2 of the finalists come from the Court of Appeals Eastern District. 1 comes from the Southern District. I will note all 3 are graduates of the University of Missouri Columbia School of Law.
Fist bump.
So that's nice to see. But also, I think a lot of speculators are saying that there hasn't been a representative from Southern Missouri on the Missouri Supreme Court in quite some time, and so the expectation perhaps is that the governor will pick Ginger Gooch. That's a lot of, again, rumors and speculation just because of the makeup of the court here recently. Of course, he can pick any of the 3 nominees, so or finalists. So we do know that, and then there's a couple of other vacancies coming up. Of course, this is going to be upon the retirement of Judge George Draper.
And I pay attention to Supreme Court picks, even on a state level. Here's why. They end up deciding important, impactful cases, things like Andrew Bailey right now on his way to Springfield. He joined us on the show this morning. He's on his way to Springfield. He's going to be arguing some stuff. These judges, they matter, but things like that, when it goes to the Supreme Court, it matters.
And that makes, you bring up a really interesting point, because something that really propelled Trump into the presidency was his Supreme Court picks. He put out the list ahead of time, and people really wanted that decision on Roe v. Wade. And a lot of the pro-life groups got behind Trump because they thought he would do a good job of picking judges. He picked a whole host of judges. And of course, it really did change the makeup of some of our courts in particular. And so I think I've seen a list from Ramaswamy. I don't know that I've seen a list from anyone else. I doubt that issue comes up, but of course, I think it really mattered to get Trump elected, and I think the candidates need to, consider their positions on that. And I like the idea of them saying, here are the types of judges, that I think, should I get elected, I would support. And choose.
I cannot wait to see the list of Supreme Court judge nominees that the mayor of North Dakota, Doug Burgum, will bring on stage tonight. If he makes it, apparently he plans to pick up basketball, hurt himself. I'm going to bet. I'm going to go.
You say if he makes it, like he's on his deathbed.
I'm going to put on my aluminum hat for a minute. I bet he didn't hurt himself playing basketball.
What?
He didn't want to be in that. He hurt himself, but not real bad. He didn't want to be in that.